Today on Knobi Cooks I will show you another Italian classic. Today I will show you how to prepare a Milanese risotto. It may only consist of 5 or so ingredients and a couple of spices, though the simplicity simply adds up to something special. So join me in this Italian adventure. If you enjoy my content, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. So let's jump right in. Make sure you have all of your ingredients ready and have prepared your pot and a beaker or measuring cup with some water. Today we'll do the things a little different. I won't go too much in depth, but I will still show you each and every step of the way and how to get to the finished meal. First, dice your onion. Go for finer dices if you want smoother texture, and go for rougher dices if you want more texture in your risotto. Alternatively, you could also dice a shallot or maybe a sweet onion. They should also fit very well to this dish. Once the onion is diced, start sauteing it in a pot together with some butter. Don't be too conservative with the butter because it will add lots of creaminess into our risotto. Many recipes even call for adding more butter at the end once the risotto is almost done. And of course, because of the fat in the butter, it will also add lots of taste to our dish. When sauteing your onion, shallot or sweet onion, make sure to not fry it too much. We only want it to become glassy, not brown. Just before you think your onions are just about glassy, add some ground black pepper, some vegetable broth, chicken broth or even beef broth into your pot. I'm using dried broth or stock here, though you could just as well use some liquid one. I even read in some recipes they add beef bones to get some extra taste out of the bone marrow for their risotto. For the next step, it is crucial that you have added enough butter into your pot, because we will now shortly fry our risotto rice without any liquid in our pot. Add the risotto rice and then stir it under your onions and mix it with these spices. At this point you probably shouldn't stop stirring until we deglaze our risotto. Just a disclaimer at this point, this dish involves lots of stirring, so I hope you didn't skip your arm day. For a nice and well prepared risotto, you can expect at least 15 to 20 minutes of stirring constantly. It's a technique called mantecatura, an Italian word which I probably butchered completely. Nevertheless, stirring is very important for each and every risotto, so keep that in mind. In the next step, we will deglaze our risotto with some white wine. I'm using some German Müller-Thurgau, though of course you can use some different type of wines. For example, a Sauvignon Blanc, a Pinot Grigio or Chardonnay. If you plan to serve some wine along the risotto, then go for one of the latter ones I mentioned. And now the work starts. Since we now have added some liquid into our pot, we will need to be constantly stirring until our risotto is done. We can only interrupt whenever we have added another bit of liquid into our pot, and then only for a short amount of time. In this stage, stir until basically none of the wine is left in our pot, and then go ahead and add swig by swig of water into your pot and stir it under until it's basically all evaporated and soaked into our risotto rice. This technique with the Italian word I butchered earlier basically leads to the risotto becoming very creamy, more or less like adding real cream to the dish. With this bit by bit cooking process, we make sure that some of the starch in our rice is solved from it, which then leads to creamy sauce or residue in our pot. This is one reason why the stirring is so important. The other is simply so you don't burn your risotto in your pot. There are some histories of the origin of this dish. Most of them have to do with a wedding. One from the 1570s involves a man who wanted to color his risotto in the color of his church windows. And another history involves someone adding saffron to the risotto as a joke. However, the wedding guests loved it so much that it became a staple. And that's exactly what we are gonna do next. Get some dried strands of saffron and then add them into your risotto. Afterwards, stir them under thoroughly and you will quickly notice how they dye your risotto more and more yellowish. The saffron does not only add quite a bit of color to this dish, but also a unique kind of taste. To be honest, making this dish on camera was the first time for me to try saffron, and I really liked it. Fun fact, saffron is flower stigmas taken from the crocus flower. Each and every crocus has to be hand-picked, and that's why saffron usually is quite pricey. A kilogram of saffron might cost you up to $10,000. After adding the saffron, we will also add our last ingredient, our shredded Parmesan or Parmigiano Reggiano. Add a good bit of it into your pot and then stir it under. It will not only add taste and salt to the dish, but also make it even more creamy than it was before. Though don't use all of it for the risotto right away, leave some Parmesan left over for garnishing later on. Now simply keep on stirring and maybe try your risotto from time to time, and once the rice is soft enough to your liking, you can serve your dinner. Put the risotto on a plate and then afterwards garnish it with some shredded Parmesan. This recipe can on the one hand be used as a quick and easy Italian dinner, but you may as well use Milanese Risotto as a first course in a multi-course dinner. However, this also brings us to the end of today's episode of Knobi Cooks. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe and also enjoyed the change of pace in this video. From now on I will probably keep my videos a little shorter, so tell me down below in the comments how you liked today's episode. This way I can ensure that I produce content you, my viewers, like. And as always, if you prepared this dish yourself, tell me how it tasted for you. I really do like the simplicity of this dish. And with that said, I'm Knobi and I see you in the next one. Goodbye.